Hello everyone. Today I have come with the discussion about a poem, The Cold Within. It's a part of the Icse syllabus which would come in the board exams of class 10. This poem is written by James Patrick Kinney. So let's start the poem. 6 humans trapped by happenstance in bleak and bitter cold. Each one possessed a stick of wood, or so the story is told. So, what do the first para try to tell? Or what does the poet wants to say in the first paragraph? He wants to say that 6 humans was once trapped by happenstance. So happenstance means by chance or in an accidental circumstance. And how was the weather? The weather was bleak and bitter cold. It was shivering cold that time when 6 travelers met, and that was by chance. And what did each of them had? Each of them had a stick of wood. So this is how the poem proceeds. We come to see. Then in the next para we see that what's there? Their dying fire in need of logs. The first man held his back, for of the faces round the fire he noticed one was black. So what does this para mean? Their dying fire in need of logs. So the 6 people that had met by chance in that bleak and bitter cold had obviously they burned a fire to keep themselves warm. And now the logs of wood that kept on burning the fire was reducing, and the fire needed more logs for burning. But we see the twist. Where is the twist of the poem? The first man held his back means the stick of wood that he was holding in his hand, he kept that back. Why? Why did he do so? For of the faces round the fire, he noticed one was black. So, friends, follow this line. He noticed one was black. That means he believed in the policy of apartheid that was long time back abolished or prohibited. He was of fair skin color, which brings about racial discrimination in this poem. He himself was white, and he saw that one was of Negroid origin among the 6 that were there. So he kept his log back, and he did not want that through that log he would warm a black man. Then the next para, we come to see that the next man looking across the way saw one not of his church. What does this 2 line means? Was not of his church, that means was not of the same religion to which that man belonged, and could not bring himself to give the fire his stick of birch. So religious discrimination is highlighted in this para. He saw that the man did not belong to his religion and community, and therefore he stepped back from giving the stick of birch to keep the fire burning. Now let us come to the third para. First, let us give it a reading. The third one sat in tattered clothes. He gave his coat a hitch. Why should his log be put to use? To warm the idle rich. So the third person who was in that group, he sat over there with tattered clothes. Now tattered means torn, shabby, very old type of clothes. And he gave his coat a hitch. He held it tightly. He was not wanting it to share it with anyone. And in his mind, the thought struck that why should his log be put to use? Means why is he going to give his log to warm the idle rich? Simply he cannot. He was a poor man himself. So if he gives his log of wood to keep the fire burning, then it would just warm the idle rich. So he had a kind of prejudice against the rich. He had a kind of enmity, or he had a kind of jealousy for which He did not want that any rich man would be benefited by his action of giving the log of wood. Then let us see what happens in the next para. The rich man just sat back and thought of the wealth he had in store and how to keep what he had earned from the lazy, shiftless poor. So again, we see a kind of selfish act, a kind of self-centered and egoistic act. Now, the rich man who was there, he was thinking in his mind that he had huge wealth which was in his store and how to keep to himself what he had earned. And he was not willing to share a single penny with the lazy, shiftless poor. So, according to the rich man, the poor were lazy as well as uh, selfish, you may say. The black man's face bespoke revenge as the fire passed from his sight, for all he saw in his stick of wood was a chance to spite the white. So, what does this para mean? It carries a very simple meaning. The black man who was there, in the first para, we had seen that seeing the black man, a fair man, did not put forward his log of wood to keep the fire burning. Now it so happens that the black man who was there had a stick of wood with him. As we know in the poem that all the six persons who had gathered round the fire in that bleak and bitter and shivering weather had all a stick of wood. But we see that none of them are putting it forward to warm themselves and keep the fire burning. So what kind of selfish and you can say inhuman act this is? And the black man's face, the facial expression of the black man contained revenge as the fire passed from his sight when he saw the burning fire. And what did he notice in his stick of wood? He noticed a very peculiar thing. That was a chance to spite the white. Means he could take the revenge. He could take the revenge of his black man by not giving his log of wood in that fire. Then comes the next para. Let us see what happens over there. The last man of this forlorn group did not expect for gain, giving only to those who gave was how he played the game. So let us try to understand what does the word forlorn mean. Forlorn means a lonely. It was a kind of lonely group, and why it is said lonely, there were six persons, but none of them were trying to help each other. That's why it became a more lonely group. Did not expect for gain. He was not expecting that he would gain anything out of giving his log of wood in that fire. And he had a very strange concept. Giving only to those who gave was how he played the game. That means the person who would provide him something, he would give him or her in return something. Means he followed a policy of give and take. Nothing more than that. Then let us come to the next para. Their logs held tight in death's still hand was proof of human sin. They did not die from cold without, they died from the cold within. So we reach the very climax of the poem where we see that the six humans passed away. Why? Due to their selfishness, due to their self-centeredness, due to their egoistic behavior, due to their prejudices, and in the cold body, without beating of the hurt, their hurt contained, their hands contained that log. But what is the use of the log now? But what is the use of the log now when they are lying breathless in the cold weather? And they did not die from the cold without, they did not die from the atmospheric cold that was present in the weather of that day. They died from the cold within. The attitude, their self-centered attitude, their attitude of not helping others had made them to die. So the poem contains a very interesting message, a very important message that people should help each other if they want to survive, if they want to live, and if we want to flourish. We should always hold our hands, and helping each other would only make that possible, otherwise not. So this was the explanation of the poem The Cold Within by James Patrick Kinney, and it was written around in the year 1960. So hope you like this, and I have given a very simple explanation of this poem. And in the coming days, I am going to bring more videos related to the ICSE as well as ISC syllabus, discussion of stories and summaries. So do keep watching and do keep liking. Thank you.